Hello, everybody. Welcome to the B Plus Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, Mr Myster1ous, and guess what? It's wedding time. Sorry to freak you guys out. I thought it would be appropriate just to have a little bit of music to prelude this week's episode of the Impact Zone because it's wedding time again for Brian Cage and Melissa Santos. The wrestling wedding of these two. And yeah, love is in the air, ladies and gentlemen. We had a nice little introduction, the introduction to Impact Wrestling. Usually they talk about like big things that happened all of last week. With last week's one, it was a big tribute to LAX. This week's one was just a big tribute to the love between Brian Cage and Melissa Santos. I'm your host, Mr Myster1ous, and we're going to have a lovely time covering the latest taping of Impact Wrestling from Hollywood. A lot has gone on. We have some more ideas. We have some more matches announced for Bound for Glory, which is slowly creeping up. Very excited. We have some more news from Impact with the AXS deal. And we have some idea of the storylines moving forward. And I'm pleasantly content. Mainly because it's wrestling wedding season and I'm just chill. I'm zen. And I'm enjoying a long weekend here at the moment here in WA, so you know what? Just not going to let anything bother me. I'm going to see if I can keep that throughout this episode. I probably won't last, but you know what? I tried, ladies and gentlemen. So, as I mentioned, Impact comes to us from Las Vegas, and yeah, we're going to see the wedding of Brian Cage and Melissa Santos. You have a wedding correspondent throughout the night, Gabby Lauren. She's interviewing guests as they arrive. It's very interesting. So we started out with Hall of Famer Gail Kim. Nice to see Gail Kim. Like you know that she's a backstage person in Impact Wrestling now, and she's looking after all the knockouts and making sure the women's division is up to the standard as what it is now. And yeah, it's just great to see her. Like she had her match with Tessa. Great go home match. I don't have any complaints about her in ring career at all. I think she's an amazing woman. Definitely deserving of all the fame that she's had in TNA and Impact and more. Just incredible talent. We opened up, very bizarrely, we had the music of LAX appear, and you would think, oh, well, Conan still has the LAX music, but a tag team comes out looking like LAX, doing the same poses like LAX, but it's not LAX. And people thinking like, oh god, they've got a third iteration already. No, calm down. It's the North dressed as the team that they retired a couple weeks ago. Ethan Page, Josh Alexander, the North dressing up as LAX. I never knew I needed that in my life, and I've seen it now, and it was really funny. I enjoyed it. The North talk about being the best tag team in the world after they made sure that LAX are no longer in Impact, even though they were out for AEW anyways, but still give the win to the North, give them their due. They're talking about how everyone was cheering for them when they came out looking like idiots and acting like idiots. And I love Ethan Page. Like, I'm going to give this bandana to someone who I think is truly disgusting. And it's just to a fan who's just like so excited just to see the North. And he gives them a bandana and he just jumps up and down, like literally jumping up and down in joy. Bizarrest thing I've ever seen. I feel like he was probably a friend of Ethan Page or just a very devoted fan who met him in a meet and greet before. It was fun. It was nice. And the North are just reminding everyone that they are the ones to beat, and quite rightly. And they even point out that, the paper advertised that the best tag team in the world was coming here, and you act like you're disappointed. You got exactly what you were promised, the best tag team in the world. Yeah, North can do no wrong in my eyes. We had Conan that had the LAX music play again, and this time Conan actually came out, so he's still using that music. He's calling these two, he's saying that the two look like morons, but they point out that we're dressed like your boys. So, yeah. He says a couple of words in Espanol, some very choice words that cause him nearly get knocked out by Josh Alexander, walking weapon. But Conan says that, you know what, he's gonna try and let bygones be bygones because he has some two extreme individuals that the North haven't taken out yet. Rob Van Dam and Rhino. And it was an impromptu tag team match that started right now, holla holla player. And we saw the North versus Rob Van Dam and Rhino, Team ECW, with Conan in their corner. Very weird combination. You had Rhino. He like basically they were going for the spot fest, like RVD and Rhino. Ryan attempted for the gore, but Page cut him off with a super kick. RVD and Page kind of spilled to the outside with RVD taking a really nasty bump. I was like really worried for him for a second. While the referee was checking on him, Josh Alexander attempted to use the tag title as a weapon, but he's the walking weapon. Why would he need to? I digress. But Conan stops him. So Conan, I think he might have some representatives. He might have some talents to look after building up to Bound for Glory, maybe that's his role now, looking after Team ECW, because he's an original and he's going with the ECW guys. I feel like they want to put the titles. I want Rich Swann and Willie Mack. I want them to win the tag titles. I do, but something tells me that one of the things that RVD was kind of promised when he came back to Impact was a championship. And I feel like they're going to maybe give Rhino and RVD a tag title. Whether it's in the build up to Bound for Glory or at Bound for Glory, I don't know. And I don't like it, but at least it would make RVD Triple Crown. I feel like it's just a little box that they want to tick off before the Team ECW finish. But who am I kidding? ECW won't die because it keeps living on forever and ever. It's like Dragon Ball Z. Just when you think that it's been blasted away, it just wakes up. It's just still there, kicking, just going. It's like that, but just annoyingly so. But yeah, so Conan stopped Josh Alexander from using the title belt. Rhino got the gore on Alexander, and RVD followed up with a 5-star frog splash, and they pick up the upset victory over the North. I think this is the first time the North have actually lost a match since becoming the tag team champions. Very surprising. I feel like if we're going to go the route of RVD and Rhino versus the North, because they've won that match there, I feel like the North are going to beat them. But we could see a triple threat in the build up to Bound for Glory. There's a lot of moving pieces. I'm not sure quite where they're going to land just yet, but you can see where people's heads are at for this week's episode of Impact Wrestling. We know that Rich Swann is Willie Mack. Like, they have been the team that's being crafted right now. A lot of things happening. But we cut after we finish there. We have the wedding plans, people talking. So we're back from the break. You have some other stuff with Gama Singh and the Dizzy Hit Squad. So after the victory, of course, I should apologize. Gama Singh is talking to the Dizzy Hit Squad for their lack of performance in the ring. He's scolding them, saying that he had to go back to India to get Mahabali Shira to help motivate the group. And yeah, damn straight, they needed the motivation. They needed the motivation because they were abysmal. And he tells them that they are all better start picking up the slack and work harder if they want to keep supporting them. And he's saying that there are 1.2 billion people in India. You two are irreplaceable. And one of the Hit Squad is just like, I'm your son. You are replaceable. And when Rohit Raju tried to speak up, like, Gama's just like, "Do you want a slap? I can give you a slap." And he's just like, "No, Gama, no." Harsh, tough love on full display by the legendary Gama Singh. I like this. You can tell that at some point the Dizzy Hit Squad will probably defect from Mahabali and Gama. That could be the start for their own kind of credible tag team there. Oh, I don't think it will happen right now. I think we've got a good. They don't need to do it at Bound for Glory. That they can milk this for a good few months. Like, get Mahabali a title, and then kind of tease like, well, we don't need you anyway. I feel like we're gonna get from there. But yeah, we're cutting back to the wedding. We don't want to forget, everyone. The wedding is still going. how could we forget the wedding, of course, between Brian Cage and Melissa Santos? Again, we have Gabby Lauren greeting several guests from the roster. Several people she talks to includes Eddie Edwards, and here Eddie Edwards is talking to Melissa. He's calm, he's collected, he looks a little bit solemn, but he's there. And then all of a sudden, you have Reno Scum. They're just like, "Hey, buddy, good to see you. I haven't seen you in ages." And all the while, they spike his drink in full view of Gabby Lauren, and she doesn't say like it looked like she saw, but they essentially roofied him, and yeah, that was an image that I needed to see. But yeah, Eddie Edwards, that's the prelude to what would happen in the build up to the wedding. So the wedding's actually not in the ring this time, which is very smart for Impact Wrestling, because if the wedding was in the ring, it'd probably get interrupted. But it was just the reception that was in the ring. So yeah, probably get interrupted, but I'm not going to spoil that just yet. After Gabby talks to Gail Kim and Eddie Edwards, she has a little bit of a meet with Johnny Swinger. Yes! King of Swing! Johnny Swinger, the man who's stuck in the 80s. And I am a little bit disheartened, Impact, because you said that he would be debuting next week, on this week. So I was expecting to see Johnny Swinger in a match. And all we saw, and yes, tapings and all that malarkey. I was expecting him in a match, and I didn't see it. He was him at the wedding, just being the cartoon 80s character in his wrestling attire at a wedding, jacked. You fool me once, Impact Wrestling, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me a bunch of times. But we cut to the ring afterwards. So after we had the Desert Hit Squad segment, we cut back to the wedding. We go back to the ring. Garma Singh is introducing Mahabali Shera to make his way down to face off against Cousin Jake of the Deaners, Giver. So last week we had Cody Deaner try unsuccessfully to take down Mahabali. Bell rings, Shera just takes over straight away. Jake tries to push Shera into the ropes, lands a few side hits here and there. But Jake runs across the ring, plants a spear on Shera. Shera counters it with a sky high, and he does the world's strongest slam. Very decisive. In 4 or 5 minutes, yeah, he's down. Shera goes for the cover, picks up the win. Very, very strong. Loving it. Cody Deaner comes back down to the ring trying to fight Shera off, and it looks like he kind of was going to get some momentum there against Mahabali. But then the rest of the Desert Hit Squad, they come to the ring. They beat him down. All 3 members stand tall. Yeah, I need this. You need to recover the Desert Hit Squad. Recover your tag team. They're going to do wonders. Moving forward, especially with the AXS deal. They're going to do some valuable things in the months to come. We cut back to the wedding stuff. You'll notice this. It's a theme. We're really reminding everyone about the wedding stuff. Gabby Lauren interviews TJP and Fala Bar. Now, this freaked me out. So, TJP is upset that Bar isn't dressed in his very nice attire for the wedding, right? And Bar just says casually, "You told me to dress casual." And he's just he's talking about his shoes, because Fala Bar wears, is barefoot in his wrestling matches, and for a wedding he wears thongs. And he's like, "I meant shoes." "Well, I meant thongs." Well, of course they don't call them thongs in there because Australian American. But Gabby is actually asking TJP and Fala Bar about their relationship. What is this like? And then Fala just goes, "Bar?" And TJP's like, "No, none of that shit. You can talk. You just proved it." It's like, "Bar?" I was thinking, where is the build? Where is the build up at first? By Fala Bar finding his voice. You can't see my quoting fingers, but finding his voice. And I thought, are we just screw it? TJP just fixed him? And then all of a sudden it's just Bar? And okay, they're slowly gonna work it out. So Fala, without even realizing, he realizes that he can talk. But then when he really starts thinking, it's just Bar? 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 No. We had an interview with TJP on one of our more recent episodes of Aussie Grats. Make sure you have a listen. Very entertaining. And TJP talking about fellow Filipino boy in Falaba. It's a very great interview. They're one of my favorite personally. Make sure you go check it out. But yeah, they both leave the interview with discussing Falabar's attire. They're just bickering like an old married couple. Then we cut to the ring for another match. Madison Rayne, the locker room leader, right? And it even says on her graphic now, locker room queen. She's really milking this for all it's worth. Like, I love it now. Like, I'm sold on it. Her being just this. She can't be the queen bee anymore. So it's the locker room leader, queen, whatever. Going up against Australia's own Tennille Dashwood. Tennille coming off her win against Kira Hogan from last time. And yeah, another win for Tennille. These guys lock up at first, like few reversals, like Dashwood showing how agile and quick she is, like getting the better of a veteran in Madison Rayne. And I don't like commentary here because you have Josh Matthews, Don Callis, they're bickering and so tongue in cheek. They're just saying like, how in the world could you find someone like Madison Rayne? They're actually, again, making it act like we don't know that they're already married. It's like, you're just a nerd. How could you'd be lucky to find someone like Madison. And just focus on the match, you fools. Just focus on the match. We have Rain yelling out to a specific lady in the audience while holding Dashwood in a headlock. She's just saying, "Shut up, old lady." And the fans of the audience just start chanting "old lady" for some reason. I don't understand. Just it's Las Vegas. What are you going to do? Dashwood got out of it though. Did a lot of sidearms. She followed up with a clothesline. Rain went for a bridge pin at one stage and yelled out to Dashwood that this isn't her company or her division. And yeah, you pissed off Tennille because she did her spotlight running into Guri and pretty much very decisively 1-2-3. Tennille, second win in Impact Wrestling. It's just been announced as well, as I thought it would have been already, but in case you guys don't know, Tennille Dashwood will officially face off against Taya Valkyrie for the Knockouts Championship at Bound for Glory. I am so excited. And for those of you thinking about me highlighting Taya Valkyrie's reign, so at the time I'm recording, she's at 262 days in her title reign, which is only 4 days less than Rosemary, and 17 days less than Taryn Terrell. So by the time Bound for Glory happens, yes, Taya Valkyrie can call herself the longest reigning knockout in Impact Wrestling history. But until then, I will point out that she is not. Like, then you can officially say Taya Valkyrie is the longest reigning. But it's been a very, very strong title reign, and I think it's run its course. Tennille, former WWE star, fresh phase in the Knockouts division. Yeah, I feel like she will. I feel like Tennille will get the belt, if for nothing else, because she's touring Australia the week after, if for nothing else, so that she can come back to Australia with the title belt. Is that too much to ask? I just want to see the shiny right for myself, front and center. But so the Knockouts division is really coming along. I'm really impressed. Like there's more moves being made there, and you can tell that that's where a lot of their attention is being placed. It's especially like not just with the people in the title contention, but the Supernatural story. It's calmed down for like this week at least, and then you've got Tessa's story in the intergender wrestling. They're looking after the intergender and the title story very carefully, and I'm really appreciative of that. But we can't dwell on that too long because we are back to wedding coverage. I've just got this tab here. I'm just going to keep playing it just when we cut back to the wedding time. Lauren interviews Van Dam and his girlfriend, and my God, if you want to talk about revealing dress, holy crap. I'm just Katie Forbes, I think her name is. The Gabby asks if they are the next couple to get married, and they both just have a little giggle to themselves, just like, ah. If you look at RVD's social media, you'll see that he ain't settling down. He's got the babes, he's got the sex, drugs, rock and roll. I think he's good. But yeah, that was the little giggle moment there. And Rich Swann and Willie Mack, they come over, they start talking business to Van Dam. And I'm confused here. So apparently Willie Mack and Rich Swann are the next number one contenders. And they joke to RVD and Rhino saying, when we win the titles, you can be our next match. And then RVD is like, well, when we win the titles, you can be our next match. And it's like, are you guys the contenders too? As I mentioned, the triple threat for Bound for Glory. I don't know how, like, when was this announced? No one said anything, but just, yeah, I'll roll with it. We go back to the break and we get greeted by the granddaddy, the godfather of TNA Impact Wrestling, the first TNA champion, the most dangerous man, the world's most dangerous man, UFC Hall of Famer, Ken Shamrock. And he is cut. 55 years old. He is in the best shape of his career, which I don't know how you can even say that about a person, but my God, comes to the ring, gets standing ovation. The crowd go nuts for him. And Shamrock he's a very, like, you wouldn't think it, but he's just a very matter-of-fact promo. And you have the crowd, you think that he would the crowd kind of weren't interacting at first, but it was like he was having a genuine conversation with them. Like, he never really had a chance to do much promos back when, like, WWF and, like, that whole era. He was just, like, the mad guy, world's most dangerous man and all that. But maybe because I haven't seen him much in doing promos and online stuff, but it's just really nice to see just a guy just kind of casually talking in the ring. And the crowd they were receptive as hell to it. They loved it, and there was no heckling, and it worked out really. They knew they were probably going to get their ass kicked by Shamrock if they tried anything. But he's thanking his fans for their support. He addresses the elephant in the room, Moose, and all the smack talk that he's been saying these past couple of weeks. He thinks that he's a 6'4" man that's full of shit, and he's waiting to put Moose in the grave. That he calls Moose out to fight him right then, right there. And then on the Titantron, you see Moose at Shamrock's dojo training center. And it's a funny promo. If you know that Moose is trying to be serious, but he's backing up. He's talking to the camera. He's walking backwards. And anyone who he bumps into, he just knocks out. He just punches them. Gratefully, because there were women and children there who had, like, went to the side or they were on the bench. Thankfully, Moose didn't hit any of them, because otherwise we'd think, oh, he's the most dangerous man in Impact Wrestling. Who would have thought? But as he slowly makes his way to the octagon in the training center, and he takes out some guys training there, and he says he isn't afraid of Shamrock, and he's going to kick his flirkin' tush in the ring. Yeah, you done pissed off the world's most dangerous man there, Moose. Good luck with that. In all seriousness, I am just so glad to see Ken Shamrock back in a big promotion like Impact Wrestling. Like, well deserved. Like, especially he kind of crafted. If you see some recent interviews, he'll be the first to tell you he kind of revived his career in Australia, and now he's going back to what he was doing before. Very happy for him. But before we get into all the other wrestling news, how about we have a little bit more wedding stuff and a chat with our sponsors.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Hey guys, just a reminder, if you want to hear all of these wonderful B Plus podcast episodes completely ad-free, make sure you head over to Patreon or Podbean, where we are the featured podcast this week. You can subscribe for as little as $1 a month up to $10 a month, where anything you want to help us with, it really helps out. It's going to help us grow the site. It's going to help us redesign some things, and everything that we get through this and through the advertising as well is all going straight back into the podcast so that we can get Aussie Graps out there for the rest of the world to hear about, for the rest of the world to see, so we can grow this mission of watch global, support local, and build indie wrestling. So if you want to be a part of that and get some really cool rewards like call-in shows, bonus episodes, ad-free like I mentioned, then head over to patreon.com/theb+ and subscribe today. Hey everyone, just want to take a second to tell you about one of our new sponsors, Outbreak Nutrition. Outbreak Nutrition are creating supplements for survival, sharper minds, quicker reflexes, all the energy you need to take your performance to the next level, whether that be on the field, in the gym, on the gaming field. That's right, they have specifically designed gaming supplements as well to help you focus on those late night sessions. They even sell coffee, you guys, at Outbreak Nutrition. You can get coffee pods, you can get coffee beans, you can get supplements for the bedroom as well if you want to enhance your performance there. These are performance enhancing supplements for every aspect of your life, specifically designed by gamers, for gamers, to stay fit and healthy in the gym, to stay sharp and focused on the game, and to dominate in all areas of life. So check out OUTBREAKNutrition.com, and for being a listener of our podcast, they will give you 10% off your order when you enter the code B+. That is BPLUS at checkout. So make sure, if you want to stay on top of your game, if you want to take your performance to the next level, OUTBREAKNutrition.com, enter the code B+ at checkout.
We're back, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, love is in the air for this week's episode of Impact Wrestling. We can't forget, because we're reminded every 5 seconds in this week's episode about all the wedding shenanigans going on backstage. We cut to backstage as well. We have Taya Valkyrie. She finds Rosemary and begs her to get rid of Tenille so she doesn't have to face her at Bound for Glory. Now, I was afraid of this because I thought Taya and Rosemary, that friendship, if you can call it that was only for a match that they had at one of the Impact Plus events, and now Taya is still continuing with it. And it's this weird thing, like, I don't know why, but Impact Wrestling are trying to, they're trying to get rid of their supernatural characters. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. They're trying to make Rosemary just like an everyday, they're just trying to make her the brooding goth. Like, she's not the brooding goth, she's the bloody demon assassin. But yeah, Rosemary calls Valkyrie out on her shit. She calls her a coward, refuses to do her dirty work, and her respect for Valkyrie is gone. Like, dude, when did you respect her? Like, why would you respect her? Anyway, she's saying there was a glimpse of the old Taya at Slammiversary, which, yeah, Taya Valkyrie at the Monsters Ball, holy crap. Well worth checking out if you haven't seen it. So Taya's trying to get, like, it was just been announced that she would face Tenille Bound for Glory, so now she's just scrambling, just like, who can I get to do my bidding for me? We have Matthews recap the current lineup for Bound for Glory, and they go to the Impact Plus moment of the week, which I love. I love this because it's wedding season, it had cut to the wedding of ODB and Eric Young. And I love that wedding. It's so stupid, but it's one of the better weddings. And it was in a steel cage, so no one could interfere in it. They were the knockout tag team champions at the time. Don't think about it too hard. It was a different time. But after the Impact Plus moment, we have Gabby Lauren announce that most of the guests have arrived, and like a bat out of hell, OVE try and break up the affairs. They announce their arrival. Security come over. Callahan says they're just there to drop off a present. They come in good faith. They're trying to be nice. And when security block them at the door, just like, fine, we're better than this anyway. Dave's got a match. And he's like, I do? I mean, yeah, I've got a match. And they leave. Callahan screaming out bullcrap that they weren't invited. Just, this is bullcrap. Bullcrap. Like, it's his favorite word recently. I don't know where it's come from. Bullcrap. 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 It's a weird transitional thing. I don't know what we're going to do there. You have Tommy Dreamer and Rich Swann speaking to Cage before the wedding. Dreamer's giving him some words of encouragement before the big moment, and Swann reminds him that he'll be married to only one woman for the rest of his life, and Dreamer's just like, where's that written? Because, yay, polygamy. Love is love, ladies and gentlemen. I don't want to go into all that. But yeah, afterwards, the bridal party is ready, which, can I say, why a half the... Yes, I understand the whole Impact Wrestling roster is invited, but you would think at least that Brian and Melissa would be a little bit more selective about who would be in attendance, because my God, her bridal party is Taya Valkyrie, Madison Rain, Alicia Edwards, and Kiera Hogan. And sorry, like not Madison Rain. She's just there to give, as the locker room leader, some morale boost. Tell the bridesmaids how to walk, like up down the aisle, right? Take notes, ladies, and they all start bickering. And Ty's using this opportunity to try and get the girls to help out with her problem with Tennille. I feel like we're gonna probably see Alicia Edwards versus Tennille, maybe next week after, just based on the interaction. But yeah, it's interesting to see Taya, even at a wedding, her mind is constantly ticking and just trying to make everything all about her, which she's not being very subtle, to be fair. We have a first qualifying match for the X Division Championship at Bound for Glory in a ladder match. The first qualifying match, Dave Christ, accompanied by his OVE brethren, versus the undeniable Tessa Blanchard. Straightforward match, straight outside. Fulton tries to beat up Tessa, and the referee, Jake is grabbing him by his hair like Sammy does, but he's has to really, he doesn't have as much control as Sammy, which is a nice little tidbit that I really love. The referee's not having any of this shit and tells him to leave the ring. In the commotion, Dave goes for Blanchard's eyes, backs her in a corner, swings a few shots towards the back of her head, right? But all the while, Tessa gets the comeback. She's unloading a few hits and a sidekick on the apron, right? She's on the top rope, tries to land a magnum. It reverses and instead turns to a sunset flip, which for a very close near fall. But then Blanchard goes for a buzzsaw DDT. 1, 2, 3, as if there's any doubt. Tessa Blanchard qualifies for the X Division ladder match at Bound for Glory. And they've been making a big deal about this online. They haven't even advertised who is on for next week yet. I had to scourge through the internet to find out the next contendership match. They're just being very but they want to talk about how great it is that Tessa's in the X Division title picture, how they want Tessa to win the title. They know. They absolutely know. I've been calling it for weeks. That Tessa will likely be the X Division champion. They want to make history. I can see it happening. But for those of you curious from my browsings, apparently next week, the next qualifying match is Daga accompanied by Conan. Take note, everybody. I always thought, anyways, that if Daga, he'd be like that because he had that match with Ortiz a few weeks ago against the North, that he'd be like the third generation LAX. He'd be a part of that. Who he'd be partnered with, I don't know, Laredo Kid, something like that. But Daga is going to face off against Chris Bay. Now, Chris Bay is indie darling in Las Vegas. He's one of those guys when people ask you about indie champions, he's that guy who has all the gold from all the promotions because he's just an incredible athlete. He's a champion in Future Stars of Wrestling, I believe. He's champion in WAC. He's been No Limits champion in FSW as well. He's won quite a few belts. He's the standard bearer for indie wrestling, and he goes around everywhere. So it's a phenomenal talent that Impact Wrestling will probably job out over the next few weeks because, yeah, giving people just a spot for them to job out to the current Impact Wrestling stars, if nothing else. After the match, though, with Tessa finally getting her qualifier for the X Division title match at Bound for Glory, post-match, you have Jake and Madman Fulton come to the ring and attack her. You have Madman do 2 from the ground choke slams, so very decisive choke slam to stop Tessa. And she was fighting back pretty fiercely. But you can tell they're just like, oh shit, Tess is in contention now. We need to make a statement. And they did. They definitely did. Cut back to the wedding stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Crazy stuff. At the wedding, we have Ace Austin is coming over and talking to Alicia because she's asking where Eddie is, and she isn't sure. So Ace takes it upon himself to walk Alicia down the aisle since she's one of the bridesmaids. Okay, ranting coming. Why does she care? Why? We had a week's break from this story where like Ace Austin, who is now fully healed, by the way, from his supposed injuries. He's upright, walking, not faking that he's still got some remnants there, just back to normal for the wedding. Why does Lisha care? The week before, she said it was over. She went into the ambulance with Ace, and she essentially broke up. And you would think that Eddie would be freaking out and like be acting crazy. But at the wedding, he wasn't acting crazy. He was acting sad, but he was going to be there with Alicia for the wedding. And the only reason that he was acting crazy is because Reno Scum roofied him on behalf of Ace Austin. Why did you need to do that? There was absolutely no need for them to do that because storyline that they've written means that Eddie should be drunk and upset anyways. You've had to, they've micromanaged the story to complete idiocy, and there's no rationale to it anymore. And with the AXS move, that you got promos with Eddie Edwards, and he's just casual Eddie Edwards. And part of me thinks that they've kind of bailed out on this story now, and whatever they were going to plan to do, if they were going to make him snap, I don't think it's coming anymore. They've completely botched this, and I'm just thinking, why? Your story, you should be crafting this better. Like, I'm hoping next week that they can kind of fix it in some way, but why does Alicia care? Why would she be inviting Eddie to the wedding when when in her mind he cheated on her and he's been trying to go after Ace? My brain aneurysm there. Not make sense. Does not make sense at all. I don't like it. But that's just minutes away from the wedding. Everyone's getting prepared. We cut to some more people in attendance for the wedding. The Rascals, they're there. They can't stop coughing from after all the smoke they've inhaled before. And you cut to RVD and his girlfriend, and they are in a fog. I shit you not, a literal fog, like a CGI fog of of weed. And RVD's just casually just looking off into the distance. He's got his glasses on, mind you, but you have the Rascal try and be subtle, and all of a sudden RVD, like the weed god, is just it's all around him. It's his aura, you know? So the Rascals are doing that. Havoc is there. I mentioned the Impact not looking after their supernatural characters. Havoc is at the wedding trying to find a seat with the Deaners there. The Deaners try and hit on Havoc. She's just like, nah, don't even try. What the hell is she doing at a wedding? She should be this big supernatural beast of a woman who does not care about a wedding. Why? Why? Treat your audience with intelligence. Treat your audience with respect, Impact Wrestling, and you'll be rewarded in abundance. But man, they might think it's just some throwaway thing for the wedding because Brian and Melissa are already married. But at least try and make it seem like you have put some thought into this, for your storylines, because you have the Desi Hit Squad there, they're in attendance. You have Rosemary who teleports in attendance, and again, she's no longer the demon assassin. She's just a demonic. She's just the grungy goth in the corner who coming to the wedding. All the bridesmaid and groomsmen walk down the aisle. Taya doesn't walk with Johnny Bravo. He walks behind her. and she picked out a dress for Rosemary. Rosemary didn't even wear it. Like, what are you doing? What are you guys doing here? I don't get it. Well, we cut to the main bit, the ceremony, with Brian's brother, Ryan. Ryan Cage is officiating the wedding. This guy with a plaid shirt, and yeah, Valkyrie, like Ryan is actually asking, is there anyone who objects to the marriage? And Valkyrie interrupts the ceremony to talk about her saying she didn't approve of the scenery and the venue and everything else. Just that was her point of contention. And Ethan Page interrupts and strangely talks about making a union in Impact Wrestling, and like this was such a weird throwaway thing, but dude, like this is a serious issue, like a union for professional wrestlers, and they made it a butt of a joke in a wedding story. Like, no, that's a serious bloody issue. And he's saying how the pay scale for the old timers coming here, yeah, scratch that shit. And he's like, RVD agrees with me, right? RVD, who is just still in his weed cloud. So he's just like, yeah, sure, man, yeah. Like, see, even RVD agrees with me. The old timers are pieces of shit. Like, what is happening? What is happening? Impact, yeah, I'm having a break. Play some wedding music to help me get back on track. I'm back. So yeah, we cut into the actual wedding bit here. So after the interruptions from Ethan Page and from Taya Valkyrie, we get the proper interruption from Eddie Edwards, who comes in apparently drunk, and throws up on the officiant. He then hits him, and Dreamer asks if there's anyone else who can officiate the wedding. A shaman, a rabbi, a priest, a minister, someone to officiate the wedding. And who would walk in like a boss? Father James Mitchell. Oh, this is great. He just walks in, teleports. He teleports, like, they're looking at him entering, and he, like, editing magic. He comes in behind them. Do we begin now? And he's officiating the wedding. The sinister minister on behalf of the Church of Satan and the state of California. Apparently, Brian Cage and Melissa Santos were okay to have a satanic wedding for Impact Wrestling. Like, it's nice that Father James Mitchell, like, officiated the wedding, but you guys got married with Satan. That's yeah, that happened. We had a satanic wedding in Impact Wrestling. But while Father James Mitchell is going through the vows with Brian and Melissa, he's leering at Melissa, and while he's saying to Melissa, "Do you take Brian to have, to hold, forsaking all others and all that?" But he gives her his number while he's saying the vows for her to recite, and she's just like, "Yeah, I do," to Brian, and he's just like, "Well, I tried." Father James Mitchell, this is so stupid, but I love this segment so much. And, like, how can he materialize here when he can't even control Su Yung and Havoc? I mean, Havoc was in attendance for the wedding, but still, like, it makes no sense. But at the very least, we had the visual of Father James Mitchell marrying Brian Cage and Melissa Santos, so that goes off without a hitch. And the reception goes down in the ring. What could possibly go wrong? Everything can go wrong. We come back for the reception. The ring ropes are gone. All the guests are standing around the ring. Melissa and Brian, they make their way down. There's rose petals. They have their first dance. When all of a sudden, here comes the bride, all dressed in white, with her husband that's so frickin' white. I love you, Sami Callihan. He's making his way down to the ring, and he wants to party. And he's saying, "Who wants to party with the Death Machine?" Making his way down, and says that he's not here to fight. He's just happy for them, man. But his feelings were hurt because he didn't get invited to the wedding. He bought them a bottle of champagne, but he kind of drank all of it because he was a little bit bummed, and who can blame him? But he's saying that I don't want this like watered down version of Brian Cage. I want the machine at Bound for Glory, and we do too. We just want the machine. And he might have some motivation now because Sammy goes for a toast to the bride and the bitch. Like that's his cadence there, and tries to swing the bottle at Brian Cage. He ducks, and Sammy Callahan glasses Melissa Santos, like, which is a very shocking visual, and it's just like, holy shit. Like, they went there. They absolutely went there. Everyone goes in to check on her, and even Sammy's horrified, just like, oh, what the hell did I just do? And he's just like, I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry. And he's drunk. He's just like, oh, fuck, I've messed up. But you know what? He's probably done the job. He's pissed off Brian. He's pissed off the machine. And yeah, I can see them. I can see this bringing out the anger and, dare I say, some story in the world title picture. Who would have thought? Jesus Christ. But that is going to be happening very, very soon. I love that. That was this week's episode of Impact Wrestling. We had the wedding. It went off without any fuss, but the reception, that was the real kicker, which is a nice little twist on the wrestling weddings. So it wasn't the ceremony that got interrupted, it was the reception that got interrupted. And yeah, wrestling wedding aside, this was a very entertaining week of Impact Wrestling. I enjoyed aside from the Eddie Edwards stuff, I enjoyed the shenanigans, the cutting back to the wedding. I like that, again, that you have Tessa in the X Division title picture. I'm glad that Shamrock's back. Tenille is slowly making her reign, like slowly starting her winning streak, as is Mahabali Shira. A lot of good things, and I better Impact. Like, I can let it slide this week because of the weddings, but I better see Johnny Swinger next week, King of Swing. Better see him, because if I don't, I'm gonna be pissed. We need to see the Swing Man in Impact Wrestling more. Like, I need to see this guy because he is so much fun. So much fun. We have for next week Callahan's repercussions for his attack against Brian Cage and Melissa Santos. We're going to see TJP versus Michael Elgin, accompanied by Fala Bar. There's going to be a triple threat match. Kiera Hogan versus Madison Rayne versus Tenille Dashwood. And as I mentioned, the next qualifying match for the X Division title, Daga versus Chris Bay. A lot of things being planned here. Who will move forward with the storylines? I have a feeling it's going to be Daga. It's going to be Daga for that story. But it's going to be fun just watching it play out. And all this stuff with Impact on AXS, it's going to throw everything out of order here in the Impact Zone, for the B+, not only with bloody SmackDown moving to Fox, NXT on the USA Network, AEW on TNT. Jesus Christ. We're going to be so bear with me, guys. So I'll walk you through this. So you have Impact on AXS starting on October 1st. They're going to be airing the Impact's biggest pay-per-view events from this year, leading up to their proper televised premiere October 29th. So for the next 3-4 weeks, I think, we're going to have the rest of the tapings from Impact Wrestling. We're going to have Bound for Glory. And then starting October 29th, we're going to have Impact on Tuesdays, but in Australia it'll be Wednesdays. We'll slowly figure it out with you guys in due course. We'll slowly figure out, once the wrestling world has settled, we will figure out a schedule. Everything's up in the air, and the chaos, I like it. It's a lot of fun. Impact are making a lot of big power plays, and I feel like they can come out looking so great in the midst of all the wrestling wars moving forward. That was the Impact Zone, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you enjoyed the re-wedding of Brian Cage and Melissa Santos. If you want to follow us here collectively at the B+, we are at the B+ Wrestle on Twitter, because wrestling wouldn't fit B+ Wrestling everywhere else. You've got to follow me on all the socials. I'm at Mr Myster1ous, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Grapple. Hit me up. Let me know what you thought about the wedding between Brian Cage and Melissa Santos. remember, guys, we have our Patreon. Any amount you could donate will be greatly appreciated, so we can keep giving you all what you want, when you want, showcasing the very best of Impact Wrestling and Australian Wrestling and all the other shows that we have, and keeping up to date on all the wrestling news from around the globe. I'll do that one again, Greg, sorry. If you want to follow us, no, that's not it. Don't forget, guys, we have our Patreon. Any amount you could donate would be greatly appreciated, so we can keep giving you all what you want, when you want, showcasing the very best of Australian wrestling and keeping you up to date on all the wrestling news from around the globe. Like, share, subscribe, hit that 5-star review. I am Mr Mysterious for this wedding-themed Impact Zone, and I'll see you later.